What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and it's that time of the week where we're going to be looking at the cards that have been moving and shaking and making the biggest noise on TCG Player over the last 7 days. And I get really fired up every Sunday to do this video because I'm telling you right now, like, it is fascinating. We're going to be looking at a video coming up soon where we look at the 10 cards that have gained the most in value on TCG Player over the last 30 days. It's a really cool video. TCG Player provides the information. But what's really valuable to me and what's interesting is so many of the cards on that list have been highlighted previously on this movers and shakers list. So sometimes this movers and shakers list is a bit of a rearview mirror look, but a lot of the time this gives us great insight as to what's going on right now at a macro level in the hobby. Remember, this is only over the last 7 days, so this can be very indicative, this can be very predictive of what cards are getting hot, or at least subsets and all of that. It's been fascinating, and I really enjoy bringing this to you, like I said, every single Sunday. Now, one of the things we traditionally see that we're not going to see this week is a lot of diversity. We'll see cards from XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, but all of the cards on the list this week are from the Scarlet and Violet era. And matter of fact, there's 6 cards on this list, and they're only from 3 different sets, 2 cards from each set. Now, as we've seen throughout the, when I did the video series where we talked about the overall state of the hobby, we've seen Scarlet and Violet has been on fire, but so is Sword and Shield, so is Sun and Moon, so is XY. The market as a whole right now is really hot, and if you look at the graphic down here, one of the subsets of the market that's really hot is Team Rocket cards, right? We all saw leading up to Prismatic Evolutions, all the Evolution cards, they were going crazy. Umbreon cards were spiking in price. Like, it's just been incredible to see all of this happen over the last couple months. And now, since we know that there's a pending Team Rocket set coming out, we're starting to see the same spike with all of those cards, right? So it's just been really cool to see. And again, this can be a very predictive video. So I'm gonna have a ton of fun sharing it with you. We do it every Sunday. If you get into it, if you're having fun, if you find value in it, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those 2 small things go a really long way in helping my small channel out, and I really appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's talk about 2 cards that we've talked about a lot in the past, and there's absolutely no surprise to me that we're seeing these pop off in price, and this is from Stellar Crown. We start with the Bulbasaur. In a minute we'll look at the Squirtle, and I know that you have the Terapagos, the EX1, that's the #1 card in Stellar Crown, but I have been saying, and I'm still a believer in this, no offense to my man Terapagos, no offense to the fact that's a special illustration rare, and the 2 cards we're looking at here are going to be illustration rares. But I just think when you think about the artwork, when you think about the name behind them, this Bulbasaur card and on the next side, the Squirtle, have the opportunity for one of them to possibly become the most expensive card in the Stellar Crown set, or at least be a very close to that Terapagos #2 and #3 card. And if you have 3 cards in a set that are up over $100, these are both up near the $80 range. Terapagos right now, I think, is in the low 90s. Like, if in the next 3, 6, 7 months, those start increasing in value, like, it could be really interesting to see what happens with Stellar Crown in the long run. So obviously I'm talking about the Bulbasaur right here. Over the last 3 months, it is up 88.73%. This was a $35 card. Now it is all the way up to $71. And of course, you know how much my youngest child loves Squirtle. I got her one of these for Christmas. She absolutely adores it, and I love this card. This is the one. If I had to pick one that would absolutely become in the long term the #1 card, my money would be on this card. It's higher than the Bulbasaur. It's closing the gap quickly on the Terapagos. And it's sitting there up 84.69% over the last 3 months. Now, I think this is really interesting, and I'm going to highlight this in another video. What's fascinating to me is when you think about the reprint announcement that just came out. They're going to reprint Prismatic Evolutions. They also say that they're going to reprint other affected products. We all know that Journey Together is already sold out. It's murderous trying to find that at MSRP. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, they're going to reprint Prismatic Evolutions. Check, we know that. If I'm them and I've already sold out all of my Journey Together product, I'm probably going to over-index on printing that. I also know that, hey, listen, Surging Sparks is sold out. I'm going to print some of that if I have the capacity. I know Team Rocket set is going to be what, like, when you think about those 4 sets, and this is just me, this is if I was running the Pokemon Company International, I think all of my printing capacity would be focused on those 4 sets. Now, what does that mean? That means sets like Stellar Crown, right? This awesome set right here, which is still available at the Pokemon Center here in the US, is still available at MSRP. I'm not saying it's going to be short printed, that's not what I mean, but I do think that the odds of this being reprinted sooner rather than later is probably lower, because I think that the Pokemon Company, this set is obviously, like I said, it's still in stock at the Pokemon Center here in the US, which means it's not undesirable, but it's less desirable than Surging Sparks, less desirable than Prismatic Evolutions, less desirable than Journey Together. I just think that most of their reprint effort is going to go to those 4 sets that I just mentioned, and I think Stellar Crown, we might either see a more delayed or a smaller reprint run of this than we'll see of those other sets. And we all know that at the end of the day, listen, supply and demand is what drives prices. So as long as this artwork is awesome, which it is, which I think will keep the demand high, if the supply is just a little bit tighter than it is on some of the other sets, I think this could be a very, very sneaky long-term play. So that was a really long way of me explaining why I truly believe in these cards, and I think they've got awesome upside. So the next one we're looking at right here is Paradox Rift, and this Groudon card right here, we called it early on. Listen, nothing against the Roaring Moon that was sitting there at the very top, but this card, I mean, you got a Gen 2 Pokemon right here. You have some fantastic artwork, right? And then you also have the fact that this is just an incredible, like when this card came out, people were all about it. This card just got people all kinds of fired up. So this has overtaken it. This is now the most expensive card in Paradox Rift. And we made that same prediction, just like we did when we just talked about the Squirtle card in Stellar Crown. So another strong price growth over the last 3 months. It's up 63.78, almost 64%, and it is now the big card in Paradox Rift. And I don't know, we'll have to see if that trend continues. We'll have to see if it can continue to grow over time. But the artwork is stunning. Again, early gen Pokemon just have this kind of, I don't know, mystique about them, and they have a tendency to do really well in the long run. But we have another card from Paradox Rift right here, the Altaria card. And again, look at the artwork on this. I mean, sometimes when sets come out, we just overlook this, and it's not, I don't know, it's just because there's so much awesomeness in the Pokemon space. And I certainly didn't have this on my bingo card. It's going from $25 all the way up to $45 over the last 3 months. I mean, that's a 80% jump. And when we think about it, we all know that the broader market is doing really well, but the broader market isn't doing 80% over the last 3 months well. So this is a unique card. This is a card that has absolutely stunning artwork, and it's really awesome to see this thing pop off over the last 3 months. Now, getting into the final 2 cards, and we're talking Shrouded Fables, okay? And Shrouded Fables, for me, there's not a lot of power to it. There's not a lot of studs in the set as far as I'm concerned. You got Earthen Vessel, which is up there, which is obviously driven by playability. You got Cassiopeia. Like, I love Cassiopeia. I think the artwork is awesome, but do I think in the next 5, 10, 15 years that's going to be a super valuable card? No. But the final 2 cards on the list this week are both from Shrouded Fable. And remember, we talked about Team Rocket, right? So you got the Persian card right here, which has seen a very, very strong growth, specifically over the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 weeks. And again, you see that overall over the last 3 months, it's up 142%. We saw the same thing with Prismatic Evolutions on the horizon. We saw Eevee and Evolution cards spike. Now that we got the Team Rocket set on the horizon, we're starting to see some Team Rocket cards spike off in price. So this one up 142% over the last 3 months, with most of those gains coming over the last couple weeks. Just incredible to see this thing happen. The next and final one, the Houndoom right here. Now, this is a really cool card from an artwork perspective, but again, another card that I just didn't have on my bingo card is going up to 126% over the last 3 months. Shrouded Fable, you're starting to get, you know, when you look at it, when you look at the top 20 cards in Shrouded Fable, you don't have that big card at the top that goes for $150, $200, $300, but it's pretty well evenly distributed. I mean, there's not a lot of $3, $4, $5 cards in the top 20. Matter of fact, I don't think there's many under $5 in the top 20. So the set, hey, listen, it's got some love to it. Some of these cards are gaining in value, and that's why I always say this too. Like, Shrouded Fables wasn't the most hype set, but you know what I did back before Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes were literally murderous to get a hold of? I followed the same buying pattern with Shrouded Fables that I have done with all of those other earlier sets. I got 2 cases of Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes. I put them in the Poke Closet. I got 2 individual Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, which me and my children ripped together. So that just kind of goes to show you that if you have a plan and if you have an order of doing things, you can sometimes be surprised. So, not saying Shrouded Fables is going to be a fantastic set in the future. Not saying those Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs are going to be, you know, huge dollar ones, or if they're certainly not going to outperform a lot of the other ones, but if something happens, if it ends up being a little short printed compared to some of its peers, if for whatever reason it becomes being a highly collectible thing further down the road, I'll certainly be happy to have it in the collection. And shout out to Shrouded Fables for the performance that we've seen, at least of late. So listen, that's the end of it. Those are the 6 cards that are on this list. Not as diverse, but a really cool story behind all of them, if you ask me. I hope you had a ton of fun. I can't wait to do this next week. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an epic one. I'll talk to you soon. See you later, everybody. Bye.